This conference will now be recorded.
Just a reminder to everybody, when you're not talking, if you could keep your mics muted, it really helps.
Okay, I have 6 o'clock. I'm ready to call the February meeting of the City Council to order, please. Can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the
to the
flag
flag of the United
States of America,
States of America,
to the republic
for which stands
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
liberty and justice for all.
for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, will you take roll call, please?
Heidi,
Here.
Blinker,
Here.
Argy. Here. Reynolds,
Here.
Campbell,
Here.
Brown,
here.
Ollismeyer, here, Downey,
Here.
Williamson.
Here.
Got a quorum present.
Thank you. The next thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the January 11th, 2021 meeting.
Madam President, I move those minutes of the January 11th meeting be approved as mailed.
Second.
Perfect, thank you. All right, presentation and disposal of claims.
Oh, Melissa, we need to get a roll call vote on that.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. Go ahead.
Heidi,
Aye.
Blinker,
Aye.
Argy. Aye. Reynolds,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Ollismeyer. Aye. Downey.
Aye.
Minutes passed.
Thank you. All right, presentation and disposal of claims.
There are none.
Presentation of petitions and communications.
There are none.
Reports of city offices on file in the city clerk's office.
Waterworks Department monthly December, Renew Department monthly December, Police Department monthly December, and Fleet Maintenance monthly December.
All right, just as a reminder, those are on file in the city clerk's office during regular business hours if you would like to see them. It looks like we have one ordinance for second reading.
Ordinance 2021-01, an ordinance amending amended ordinance 2020-31, an ordinance fixing the salaries of the sworn protective occupation and law enforcement members of the police and fire departments of the city of Lafayette, Indiana for the year 2021.
Thank you. What's the pleasure of the council?
Madam President, I
Madam
move
President,
to approve ordinance 2021-01.
Mr. Brown? Perfect. Thank
Second.
you. Thank you. All right, Mr. Mayor, are you going to speak to this one?
Yes, just very quickly, since it's second reading, as you know, this is just to add the specialty pay to the ordinance. It was approved in the budget. The money was approved. We just left the line for the K-9 officers specialty pay off the document. So this is just to add that line to the document. Money has already been approved.
All right, thank you. Are there any comments from council? Were there any public comment?
No, I received none on this.
Okay, perfect. We'll now take a roll call vote.
Heidi,
Aye.
Blinker,
Aye.
Nargi. Aye. Reynolds,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Brown,
aye.
Ollismeyer. Aye. Downey.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 8-0.
Thank you. We do have several ordinances for first reading tonight. The first one is ordinance 20. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Melissa, sorry.
No, I was just going to say the first one's ordinance 2021-02.
Okay, an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of Tippecanoe County to rezone certain real estate from I-1 to GB 3829 State Road East, E. Millennium Renting LLC petitioner.
Thank you. Mr. Heidi?
I move to hear ordinance number 2021-02.
Thank you, Mr. Clinker.
Second.
Perfect. Okay, and then, I don't know, Jerry or Perry, do you have anything to add about this ordinance?
Yeah, the only thing that I would say is that all this is cleaning up an area that was less, I is more intense. And this is a spot, what they call a spot zone. And the business, they want to take it all back to GB, which is what most of that is out there, GB. So I have no issues with it. And
Okay,
it was a unanimous vote at the area plan.
okay, perfect, thank you.
And that's the
Are
old
there any other-
bakery, if anybody's familiar, not familiar with it.
Okay. Are there any other comments from council?
Just to say that this is, I suspect this is a good use for that piece of property because it's been laying fallow for a few years.
Yes, it has.
So it's good to get it back to working and getting it up to, getting fixed up.
Okay, good. Does the petitioner have anything to add?
No, I just, want to say that we want to clean it up, get it up, getting up to code and, making it look nice for the city. So that's what we want to do.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from city council members?
Is there a projected use for this?
Currently there is not a protected use. We want to get it up, possibly the front side, make it like a strip mall and so get renters. So I can't really say what kinds of renters we would get. But that is the plan, to get it up to code and see what kind of tenants we can get for that. Definitely for lease, rental lease.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the council? All right, I guess we're ready for a roll call vote then.
Heidi,
Aye.
Blinker,
Aye.
Nargi. Aye. Reynolds,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Allersmeyer. Aye. Downing.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 8-0.
Thank you. We're ready for ordinance number 2021-03.
An ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of Tippecanoe County, Indiana, Uzo Amendment Number 99, Solar Energy Systems.
Perfect. All right. Anybody have any comments? Jerry, Perry, Jackie?
Is there somebody from the area plan on tonight?
Yeah, Rabada's on.
Okay.
Rabada.
Good evening, everybody. I'm here. I would be happy to do a brief presentation if the council members are interested in it. If not, I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Madam President, can I move to put ordinance 2021-03?
Thank you. Thank you.
Second.
Second. Third. Perfect. Thank you. So do you have any questions? Do you want to hear the presentation? What's your pleasure?
I've already,
I'd like to hear about it.
I don't know. if Somebody may want to hear about it.
I think if
Okay.
she can do just a couple minute presentation, that'd be appropriate.
Sure.
I can
Perfect.
definitely do that. Well, thank you for the opportunity, everyone. The SES amendment actually results from a collaborative effort by public members, stakeholders, student organizations, advocacy groups, administrative officers, city staffs, and members of both APC and ABZA. So we've been working on this for over a year now. And the amendment will essentially add accessory and primary uses related to solar energy systems to the ordinance. So in accessory use category, we have included building mounted systems and ground mounted systems. essentially we have expanded development standards, which allows both type of systems to be installed in an existing primary use structure or property. Hopefully, we are hopeful that a lot of residents and property owners can utilize this to install solar energy systems, either independent one or an integrated one, depending on their choice. Under primary use category, and so accessory solar energy system would be allowed throughout the entire zoning designation wherever there is a primary use. So primary use category is slightly different because there are two types that we have included: community scale and large scale. Community scale is primarily allowed everywhere, as long as the property is below 10 acres. And the community scale we foresee being used by schools, primarily institutional use is where we see this happening. Large scale is designed for wholesale energy production, which is permitted in industrial zone and in ag zones and OR zone by special exception. So those are the basic categories of solar energy systems that we have included in this amendment. We have also included different types of surety templates, which hopefully will help us ensure that there is enough surety to decommission any solar installation post-use. And we are also including some minor changes for mining reclamation because we didn't have a surety template for it. So we've introduced that as well with this amendment. The amendment essentially will change 9 different sections of the Unified Zoning Ordinance, and staff is optimistic that these inclusions will allow residents, property owners to install solar energy systems utilizing one of the renewable energy source to meet their energy needs. And I'll be more than happy to elaborate on any section mentioned earlier or take questions at this time.
Are there any other systems in operation at the present time?
There are few. There are a lot of residential units, and if you have noticed in the past, a lot of building permits, individual homeowners have chosen to install rooftop systems. There are few personal ground-mounted systems as well, but we haven't seen anything in an industrial or farming scale, which we call large-scale solar energy systems yet.
Thank you.
Rebecca, I have a question. It just came to me the other day. If this is on the residential, can an HOA oppose this if people want to put it on their house?
So the ordinance we're discussing is primarily for zoning. Covenants, any restrictive covenants are not enforced through our office. So yes, they will be able to include that in their private covenants if they want.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Madam President, I have a quick question for
Yes,
the petitioner. The first section, there's the first paragraph there. It says abandon. Can you give me an example of where that happened or where it was an issue and that somebody abandoned a solar energy system for 12 months or didn't use it once the investment was made?
Not in our locality, but because Indiana is very new, still new, relatively new, because lifespan of these systems are anywhere from 25 years to 35 years. So we haven't had any opportunity or to see through these systems for 25, 30 years. But there are some communities nationwide where they have where there were not enough surety in place, and the developer, after certain production, after a few years, have left, and or the production was abandoned and community was left with the Cleanup Act. So the abandonment clause allows us to monitor solar energy systems, large scale solar energy systems. Let me be specific, to make sure that it is in operation and it is still doing what they promised to do for our community. And that clause is it's a standard clause that we have seen throughout other communities in Indiana in terms of this regulation. Did that answer? Did my answer help?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And then I would go further to ask, then are they required as a property, just like if you had to tear down a property on a lot, would they be required then as part of the sale of the property to pay for the removal or dismantling of it?
That's correct. Only for the large scale solar energy systems, that's where we've introduced decommissioning plan. For example, if we're thinking about an accessory structure, it will be considered as any other demolition of a structure on site. So it would be the property owner's responsibility to safely dispose any discardable materials that comes off of the solar energy system. But for large scale, this ordinance includes a specific set of requirements to ensure that those disposal happens with certain degree of compliance to local, state, and federal requirements.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
All right, any other questions or comments from the council? Were there any public comment on this ordinance?
I received none.
Okay, perfect. I think we're ready for a roll call vote.
Heidi,
Aye.
Blinker,
Aye.
Nargi. Aye. Reynolds,
Aye.
Gamble,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Allersmeyer. Aye. County.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 8-0.
Thank you. All right, we're ready for ordinance number 2021-04.
An amendment to ordinance number 2021-11, inclusion of certain property in the local Perrin Cason Street Historic District in the city of Lafayette, Indiana.
Thank you. What's the pleasure of the council? Mr. Downing?
I move to hear and approve this ordinance.
Thank you. Mr. Brown?
Second.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Collier, you're gonna talk to us about this one?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Thank you.
So good evening, members of the City Council. Thank you for another opportunity to invite you to approve 4 new local historic districts. Go through them one at a time. The first one, as you said, is 2021-04. This is for an expansion of an existing district that I believe you all approved just a year or so ago. And this is for the local Perrin / Street Historic District. And this will include the property at 1511 Ferry Street, which is an American 4-square design built in approximately 1915. It's a beautiful property and house, and the Historic Preservation Commission reviewed it, and they have recommended approval to the City Council for this new local district, and would appreciate your support.
Thank you.
In the event, it seems like we're getting quite a number of these of late. Will it ever come back to the city that we need that property for something else? What'll be the process to retain or get that property back or out of the historic district?
Well, so first of all, yes, you're right. We have gotten several new districts recently because we have a Historic Preservation Commissioner who is very enthusiastic and was actually recruiting, sending letters and inviting folks to designate their properties as local districts. So once a property is designated and once it's gone through the 2 readings to the City Council and it's recorded in the County Recorder's Office, then it's official, and that property then is designated as a local historic district basically forever. There is a de-designation process, but it's difficult, and the commission would have to approve de-designation, and so that's not likely. And again, the point for trying to designate properties as a local district is for the sole purpose of preserving the integrity of that property. So our hope would be that if it's in a local district, it isn't going to be torn down. At least not for a long, long time.
I got a question. If,
Yes.
and this is kind of off of Mr. Campbell. So if the property was totally destroyed by, fire or tornado or whatever, and was not salvageable in any way, then what would we do?
Well, then the Historic Preservation Commission, I'm sure, would say, then would approve the demolition if it was not salvageable. If there were some way that it could be restored, that would be probably their recommendation, would be to restore it. But the good news again would be that whatever goes up in its place also would have to meet with the approval of the Historic Preservation Commission. So this is going to help prevent, if some situation like you explained were to occur and the house was a total loss, or the structure, that someone wouldn't be able to come back in and build something that would be inappropriate or incompatible, or something that would detract from the local historic district. So they'd have to just build something that would be
In effect, we are only approving the ground, in reality, not a particular building.
Well, you are approving the property, which includes the structures on it.
The whole property.
So the whole property.
John, isn't there a rule that if it has to be over 50% loss or something, that then you have to review that?
Well, any portion of demolition has to be reviewed. So if they're taking off even the porch, that has to come before the commission for review and approval. So I don't think there's a 50% per se. I think it's any demolition of any portion of this existing structure.
Right. I meant from act of God, fire, tornado. I mean, I think if it's only like 10 or 20% damage, you have the historic preservation rules still apply. But if it's well over 50%, I think, isn't that when?
That may be, Kevin. It might be in the ordinance, and honestly, I don't know. Jackie might be able to recall better than I can. We can look into that.
Yeah, I don't know that that's specifically addressed in the ordinance. I'm not sure that I've heard a reference of a percentage damage on the commission, because anything that's going to require a permit or anything like that is going to have to go through the historic preservation COA process if it is a local historic district.
Yeah. And I will remind folks that the property owners that we're bringing before you, that we have been bringing before you in the last year or so, are all doing this willingly, and they understand what the requirements are. So,
Thank you, John. I'll just add real quick, John, that this is a really, really good thing, and I support it. These are some of our most beautiful and interesting and special homes here in the community, and to lose them, it would be a serious loss to the community and the historic fabric of some of our neighborhoods, and the people that invested lots of money around these properties could then have somebody put up something that just was totally inappropriate for these neighborhoods. So this is a really good thing for preserving our neighborhood and giving people the confidence that are putting money into some of these old homes to continue to do so.
There's a whole lot of things that are compatible, that are considered, compatible in the ordinance, because an ordinance being in a local district doesn't preclude a contemporary structure. It just means that the materials that are used have to be compatible with the district, and that the proportions, the scale, the setback, all of those things need to be compatible with the district.
All right. Are there any other questions or comments for Mr. Collier? Is there any public comment on this ordinance?
There is none.
Thank you. All right, then I think we're ready for a roll call vote.
Heidi,
Aye.
Blinker,
Aye.
Nargi. Aye. Reynolds,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Allersmeyer. Aye. Downing.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 8-0.
Thank you. All right, we're now ready for ordinance 2021-05.
An amendment to ordinance number 2010-11, establishing a local Highland Park, 816 South 9th Street Historic District in the city of Lafayette, Indiana.
Thank you. Mr. Reynolds, what's your pleasure?
Madam President, I move to hear and approve 2021-05.
Thank you. Mrs. Nargi?
I second it.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Collier
Okay.
again?
Sure, thank you again. So this is for a new local district, a single property district at 816 South 9th Street. So this would be the very first and only property in the in the Highland Park neighborhood that is actually in a local historic district. So this is a big first step. So this is a Queen Anne style home. It's rated as outstanding in the Tippecanoe County interim report, and it was built in about 1895. And so the Historic Preservation Commission reviewed this property at its meeting on January 25th, and also it's recommending that the City Council would approve this as well. So they'd appreciate your support on this.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the council? All right, any public comment?
I received none.
Perfect. I think we're ready for roll call vote then.
Heidi,
Aye.
Blinker,
Aye.
Nargi. Aye. Reynolds,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Allersmeyer. Aye. Downing.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 8-0.
Thank you. We are now ready for ordinance number 2021-06.
Amendment to ordinance number 2010-11, establishing local Perrin 508 Perrin Avenue Historic District in the city of Lafayette, Indiana.
Thank you. Mr. Clinker?
I move that we hear ordinance number 2021-06 on first reading.
Thank you. Mr. Clinker, Heidi?
Second.
Thank you. All right, and
Okay.
Mr. Collier then.
Sure, thank you. So same with the last one. This is a standalone individual property. It's a new designated local historic district at 508 Perrin Avenue. We do have a handful of other properties in the Perrin neighborhood that are local districts. And so this is one more to add to that list, which is great. This house is an Italianate style, built in about 1885. And it's listed as notable in the Tippecanoe County interim report. And the commission reviewed this and believes this property is perfectly appropriate as a local designation and would appreciate the city council support.
All right, thank you. Are there any comments from the council?
I
Or
have a
there any
question.
public?
I
Uh-huh.
have a question, John.
Sure.
You said there are other houses on Perrin. At what
Mhm.
point does it become, just one district instead of, each individual one has a different name?
Well,
Is there-
if there are contiguous, like the very first one we did tonight was actually in the Perrin neighborhood,
Right.
and it was contiguous with two other properties that were identified as a new local district last year. Since that
Okay.
property was adjacent directly across the street, it was included in that district, which is why it's being included as an expansion of that district. This one, however, standalone. There are no others adjacent to it that are local districts. If there had been one more next door that already was a local district, that would have taken that name and it would have been an expansion of that one.
Okay. So
That's a
say in
good
Perrin,
question.
you would have two districts, but at some point in time, if they do become next to each other, would that become one district then? Could it?
Well, That's a very good question that I honestly don't know the answer to. But, well,
Is that they keep adding eventually.
Well, we have to
probably
accommodate
hooked
that,
up
but-
For the other ones, yeah.
I'm sure there is a way that we could consolidate all of those existing ones, probably through some legal process that Jackie might know, to group all of them together as one major district.
Yeah, that would be nice if that
yeah.
was, you know, as they keep
But-
adding one, right?
But until then, this is the only way we can do it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Yeah. Thanks.
All right, any other questions or comments?
I
Any
would
public
mention,
comment?
back in, Madam President, can I
Yeah,
want
go ahead,
to
Kevin. We're listening.
I just wanted to alert to look like a Scribner's error in a couple up on the 2021-04. The amendment says it's the 2021-11. I'm sure that was probably a different year. You said last year, right, John? So it's probably 2020-11, maybe.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm not following that, Kevin. What?
The ordinance that is two above this, I just noticed it now. So it was 2021-04 is the ordinance we voted and approved. And it
Right.
says an amendment to ordinance 2021-11. So we're not there
Kevin,
yet. Yeah.
That is a Scribner's error just in the
Yeah.
title on the agenda. The ordinance itself has it listed correctly.
Perfect.
I just
All right.
looked at it.
Great. Thank you. That's all. Yep. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Thanks for catching that, Kevin. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, we're back to ordinance now 2021-06. And was there any public comment for this one?
I received none.
Okay, and then I think we're ready for a roll call vote.
Heidi,
Aye.
Blinker,
Aye.
Nargi,
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Allersmeyer,
Aye.
Downey.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 8-0.
Thank you. And we are now ready for ordinance number 2021-07.
An amendment to ordinance number 2010-11 establishing a local Ellsworth 633 Oregon Street Historic District in the city of Lafayette, Indiana.
All right, Mrs. Allersmeyer.
Madam President, I move we hear and approve ordinance 2021-07.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell.
Second.
Perfect, thank you. All right, Mr. Collier, you're up again.
All right. This is my last one for tonight, but my guess is there will be more next month. So stay tuned. This is for a property that's currently owned by the city of Lafayette. It's a very small, narrow property in the Ellsworth National Historic District, consequently the name Ellsworth/633 Oregon Street. It's currently a vacant lot, but again, same reason that we designated 1327 Columbia last month as a local district. We're doing that with this one as well, so that if and when anything were to develop on that property, that it would be done so in an appropriate manner that would contribute to the historic district rather than detract from it. And the commission reviewed this. They agree, and they are asking for the city council to approve this one as well, and would appreciate your support.
Will this tie our hands in any way that we have to do, we have to sell that property to somebody who's interested in making it or completing a historic district?
Well, it's a small lot. There's not a lot you can do with it, but that's what we want. We want to tie their hands. If we sell it to them, we want to tie their hands, so they have to put an historic structure on it and meet all the codes and requirements, so they don't ruin what's been done for the people that are around them that's already invested money by throwing up some Quonset hut looking building or something in a area where that doesn't fit. So we're actually are trying to tie their hands to protect the people around them, to protect the people in the neighborhood that's currently there.
Thank you.
Is that lot large enough to build anything? I
I
went
don't
past
think
it.
so. I don't think so.
That's what I thought too. Okay.
I mean, not without variances anyway. You might
Yeah.
with
Right.
variances. Yeah.
And even if somebody bought it from one of the sides, if they bought
Right.
it onto their property or something, we want to make
They
sure
wouldn't have to fit in. Right.
appropriately for the
Yes.
area.
All right. Any other comments from the city council members? Were there any public comments on this ordinance?
I received none.
All right, then I think we're ready for a roll call vote.
Heidi,
Aye.
Winker,
Aye.
RG,
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Allersmeyer,
Aye.
Downey.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 8-0.
Thank you, and thank you, city councilors, for your interest in all of these. I appreciate the questions.
We appreciate all your hard work. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to give credit to Sean Lutz, the Historic Preservation Commissioner, who's really done a lot of the hard footwork on that.
Well, you guys are doing a great job and we appreciate it very much. All right, are there any reports of standing committees? Reports of special committees? All right, we do have a special report tonight by the mayor, his State of the City address.
All right, thank you, Madam President. This is going to be a little unusual doing this virtually. I'm going to try to remember to keep looking up into my camera. I'm used to trying to look at everyone in the room. It's going to be a little bit different tonight, but we'll get through it, and hopefully next month we'll all be back together. Madam President, ladies and gentlemen of the City Council and the citizens of Lafayette, it is with distinct honor and pleasure that I present to you tonight my 2021 State of the City address. 2020 was certainly a year we won't forget. A year of triumphs and challenges, a year of great joy and great pain, a year that touched all of our lives in new and unique ways. I want to sincerely thank the community of Greater Lafayette for continuing to do what is right and hard and necessary to protect and support each other. The resolve and resilience I have seen is a true testament of our community's strength and compassion. I want to thank the department heads here at the City of Lafayette, and also a special thank you to City Clerk Cindy Murray, who is a tremendous representative for me and our community. She serves on countless boards and has chaired numerous special events, and I can't thank her enough for her efforts. I also want to recognize our dedicated team members who work hard each and every day to provide exceptional and reliable services to our citizens. To those individuals and volunteer on our boards and our commissions, thank you for your leadership and guidance that you help provide to us to make important decisions that move our community forward. Without you, it's not possible for us to achieve the success that we have been able to reach. And I want to specifically thank and recognize all of our frontline healthcare workers, our nurses, our technicians, our doctors, all of those that have taken care of COVID patients and other patients during these very difficult situations. I want to thank our police officers and our firefighters, our EMTs, our EMS, and all the individuals on the front line in our healthcare and our emergency services who literally risk their lives every day working to keep all of us safe. I want to thank our dedicated teachers and educational leaders who successfully restructured learning and created a safe environment for our students. I want to thank all of our individuals working in our grocery stores, our restaurants, our community services to ensure citizens have what they need. And again, thank you to the many employees here at the City of Lafayette who work frontline jobs that are essential for vital services. I know the battle and the fight is not over yet, but I would be remiss if I did not thank everyone tonight from the bottom of my heart for that Herculean effort to keep this community going, protect our health and well-being, and saving as many lives as possible. I think it would be appropriate at this time if we have a moment of silence for all those who have died of COVID-19, for their families, and for the healthcare workers and others that share these difficult times, bear those memories and scars from the experiences they've had. So at this time, we'll observe a moment of silence. Thank you. COVID-19 has affected economies all over the world, and we are no different. Although we are very blessed here that many of our businesses, although they face difficult times, are able to continue, and some were even able to make additional investments. In particular, Subaru Automotive, who continued forward with their $150 million investment at the Lafayette plant. And GE Aviation, who brought the production of the second engine, the Passport, to the Lafayette facility. And Kirby Risk, who made a significant investment in their facility. That confidence, that courage, that hope is absolutely crucial and is so important to a community, and we greatly appreciate it. But we also know, particularly our small businesses, our restaurants and bars, our entertainment venues have suffered greatly during this time. The city of Lafayette is working very closely with our local small businesses, and we are currently doing the second round of emergency funding. And I can tell you, those business owners are heroes also. They have done everything imaginable to keep their businesses open, to keep paying their employees, to do the difficult things to reach the light at the end of the tunnel. And I want to thank them deeply for their commitment and not giving up. I would also like to thank organizations and individuals who really did lend a hand to those in needs. Many of our friends and neighbors did lose their jobs. They lost hours, lost their insurance. But this community, in remarkable fashion, found ways to work together. I want to specifically thank Michael Budd of the United Way for his leadership, Adam Murphy here at the City of Lafayette, Lafayette Transitional Housing, LUM, our local health department, local governments, our schools, and our teachers who found ways to get people services. Our schools even continue to provide free meals to students through the worst part of this pandemic. And when our schools were closed, our teachers found extra ways to support their students. Michael Budd and his team at United Way, working with Adam Murphy and local social services agencies, put together a COVID-19 housing and stability hotline to distribute funds to those in need and guide them to agencies that could help. The effort honestly was unbelievable and made a difference in numerous people's lives. And we may never fully understand the difference that assistance made to get them through this difficult time. I would like to thank the Lafayette Housing Authority, in particular Michelle Reynolds and Valerie Oakley, who helped us with the loans for our local small businesses and developed other programs to help those in need during these difficult times. I'd like to thank Dennis Carson for his efforts in administering all of those loans. And I'm going to ad lib here just a little bit at this point. We're going to help probably almost another 40-some people. And at the end of this, we'll have helped well over close to 100 businesses and put out $800,000 to our locally owned small businesses here in the community. I'd like to thank the Parks Department, Mike Perry and his staff, and the Traffic Improvement Department, Nick Standifer and his staff, who worked diligently delivering the picnic tables, street closures, and other logistics to make sure that we could have fresh air eats downtown so people could patronize their favorite restaurants safely and help these local restaurants who at that time desperately needed additional customers. And John Withers with our parking division, who helped create pickup locations during those curbside pickup. And honestly, this list could go on and on. So many people have played a role in so many different ways to help us get to the point that we are today. This was also a year that saw great unrest across our country and a great call for change, understanding, and communication. I think all of us were deeply shocked and deeply moved by the video and the death of George Floyd. And that situation highlighted the deep wounds and the deep divides in this country. It once again brought to the forefront of our conscience that we must have frank and inclusive discussions around racial tension, equality, justice, a fair society for all. And it cannot just be words this time, it must be action. We all have an obligation to do our part to create a society where we all live without fear, where we all have the same opportunity to lift ourselves up and to move ourselves forward. We know these are difficult discussions and actions, and they're not new. They've been with us since before the Civil War, but the time is now, and the time is here for all of us to commit to doing our part, however large or small, to heal this country. We need to create new opportunities and work to understand others and to truly make a difference and rebuild those relationships, to bring police department and communities together, that we all in our own way might truly become servant leaders. And I'm going to ad lib just a little bit here also. Today, the city of Lafayette hosted diversity and inclusion training for all of our department heads at our monthly staff meeting. So we're very excited to get that started, and that will be an ongoing process for us. Now let's get to some positive things. And even with all these challenges, I think it's also important that we talk about the many wonderful things that happened in our community during 2020, from economic and community development standpoint. Working together, we were able to make progress for our community. This year, we were able to expand the capacity at our wastewater treatment plant. We are ready for growth, and we are ready for community expansion that will allow businesses to make investments and to create job opportunities. And we did it in a very fiscally responsible way. We completed the rebuild of Twickenham Boulevard, and if you've been out there, it's beautiful. It created not only a new roadway, but trails and sidewalks that link our neighborhoods, our schools, and our parks. We moved the Pearl River Combined Sewer, a very complex undertaking. But this will make two incredibly important downtown projects possible that I will talk about in just a little bit. We also purchased the Lafayette Theater and began remodeling it for community use. We are excited about how it can serve and add to our local arts and culture. Unfortunately, because of COVID, that use has been limited. But when this passes, the Lafayette Theater improvements will provide a much better experience as we continue to work towards our long-term renovation goals. One of the projects that was made possible by moving the Pearl River is the Luna at 631 Main Street, named after a historic theater in Lafayette at that location. It's a mixed-use project that will set on the heart of Main Street in downtown, filling a gap that is currently a parking lot and turning it into a beautiful, productive destination that will include apartments, retail, and parking. The new public safety building and parking garage continues to move forward in downtown Lafayette. This will be across 6th Street from City Hall going to the east. It's going to create a public safety building of the future that is open and inviting and will allow the police department to be a more efficient and more effective, as well as enhance our ability to work with our community in a way that serves all people. They will tackle some of the most difficult problems like addiction, mental health, illness, youth at risk, and other societal problems that in reality are calls the police department receives daily. Nova Tower is under construction on South 4th Street and is coming along well. The Ellsworth has broken ground and, as you know, will sit on underutilized land that was formerly owned by Regions Bank. Again, a beautiful mixed-use property. Another significant, we've talked about some of these historic districts, and again, ad-libbing here just a little bit, and why it's important to protect properties. This next relationship highlights that very well. A significant accomplishment also for 2020 was securing the relationship with Jeff Ryder for the South 8th Street multi-use project that he will be working on. This project will feature owner-occupied homes, rentals, and businesses. He plans to invest $12 million over the next 5 years. And this is why protecting our neighborhoods are important, so people are willing to make those kind of investments. Coinciding with the ability to secure that project was the demolition of the old Village Pantry at 9th and South Streets and the construction of the new stormwater lift station and park area. If you've been there, that project has literally transformed that corner and a gateway into the historic 9th Street Hill, St. Mary's neighborhoods, as well as downtown. As you know, there are a lot of exciting things happening at Columbian Park, and I hope you've been following the pictures and the updates. These community development projects are incredibly important for our quality of life, the ability to attract new businesses and to allow current businesses to grow and expand by helping develop the workforce and the community growth that is necessary. They need to be successful. Loeb Stadium is nearing completion, and as you know, it will be a multi-use stadium, not only for baseball and soccer, but we can play football there. We can host concerts and other types of outdoor activities for bands, musical competition, and movie nights, just to name a few. And I can tell you again, ad-libbing, we have had numerous people contacting us here in the last month or so wanting to use Loeb Stadium, and hope you most recently saw the story about Purdue University baseball practicing at Loeb Stadium. It is truly a multi-use facility that will help spur and further market the area to potential businesses and residents, proving we have the amenities and the infrastructure essential for workforce development, business growth, and high quality of life. The penguin exhibit at the park is completed, and the penguins should be here in the spring, and I know everyone is very excited. The new carousel building is up, and we're bringing back some of that wonderful history and memories to Columbian Park. If you haven't been to Columbian Park or seen the pictures of the lagoon or Memorial Island transformation, you really won't believe it. Previously, it looked like nothing had been done to that lagoon for almost 100 years, except for some minor cosmetic work. We have drained the lagoon and are rebuilding it from the ground up. It will have a new seawall, a new amphitheater, fishing areas, and paddle boats. It's going to have a biofiltration system and fountains to keep the water clean and help the aquatic life. It will be something we can all be incredibly proud of. And also in 2020, the Wabash River Enhancement Corporation finished the Promenade downtown. There's no doubt it's been a long project, but if you haven't seen it, it is absolutely wonderful. And I hope many of you had the chance to walk down it and see how beautiful it is. It is a nice amenity for downtown. I'm also pleased to announce that we are working on a multi-jurisdictional climate action plan to reduce carbon emissions, greenhouse gases, and to protect our natural resources. This is just a small portion of everything that happened in 2020 and as we move forward into 2021. I want to thank our community and our residents, everyone in the city of Lafayette that helped play a role, our business community, our friends at the Tippecanoe County Building Trades, and all of those that have made these projects possible. For those of you who have not had a chance to see these projects firsthand, I encourage you to follow us on social media, visit our website for photos and regular updates. And as I conclude, we are at an important time for our community, our state, and our nation. It's crucial that all of us do our part to make a difference. We all have a responsibility to help stop the spread of COVID-19, to reach out to our fellow citizens who are in need, to work for racial justice and equality, to help move the economy forward, to do our part to protect the environment and reverse climate change. It's time for all of us to let our heart and soul shine through to ensure that we create a future where all of our citizens feel safe, embody hope, grasp opportunity, and give gratitude. Each and every one of us has what it takes to persevere, and we all are in this together. Thank you. All right. I know it's a little different doing this remotely, but thank you to all of you on the city council. You've done a great job this year. We've got a lot done during very difficult times, and I want you to know you're valued and appreciated. We're going to show you a quick video here to give you a little visual exposure to some of those things that we just talked about. I'm not going to talk too much. So if you want to just play the music, you can. If you can't catch it up, I'll try to talk. Shout out to Cindy Murray for the Santa Express. That was a huge hit. LFD Fire Engineer 3 ISO Class 2. That's a big deal. The Public Works new salt barn came in very handy this last snow. We used almost 700 tons of salt. We've entered into a really nice agreement with Purdue University. Finished up a couple more sections of streetscape this year. Thank you to the IBW for a wonderful job with the Christmas lights. Special shout out to Mr. John Schuman, who you know we lost this year. But I will report to you that after just 3 years, the $15 million North End Community Center is debt-free. That project is completely debt-free and paid for. So we're excited about that. And that wouldn't have been possible without the city's involvement of Mr. Schuman's $5 million investment and the work of Faith Church and their community. But that total project in 3 years, $15 million is debt-free. That's a testament to a lot of people. So thank you, and we'll get back to the regular meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Cindy, for your leadership at City Hall. It's outstanding.
Thank you very much for your leadership, Mr. Mayor and Cindy. Those would not be, we would not have those without your leadership. So thank you. Okay, miscellaneous and new business. We do have a council appointment to the Lafayette Redevelopment Commission. TJ Theme, it's a 1-year appointment. What's the pleasure of the council?
I move for nomination or appointment of Mr. Thiem for that position.
Second.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We're open for a roll call vote, please.
Heidi,
Aye.
Blinker,
Aye.
RG,
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Olersmeyer. Aye. County.
Aye.
Appointment approved, 8-0.
Thank you very much. All right, and we do have reports of city councilmen. All right, and we do have a couple of public comments tonight.
We do.
Madam President, Jerry Reynolds. I would just like to pass on to all of our street department and all the people that just worked on this snow and still working on it, the excellent job and the speed that they've got our main thoroughfares done and now working on our neighborhoods, and they're working, a lot of hours, and I just want to thank them. I think they've done an excellent job.
Well, thank you. We'll pass that along to them.
Here, here.
All right, public comment.
I did receive 2 emails. The first one is from an Ian Andrews of 28 South 26th Street. Hello, reviewing the salary raise for LPD is quite concerning to me. This organization hired a neo-Nazi this year, allowed a canine to mail a citizen's throat and threw tear gas at adolescents during demonstrations. This organs need quite a bit of work, not fiscal rewards. In a pandemic, when people are loving their jobs, life savings, and homes, the thought of the city rushing to raise the salaries of law enforcement officers rather than help its citizens is disheartening and embarrassing. I would like to see more concern and effort by our city to take care of its citizens. And the next one is from Katie Watson. In regards to the second reading of ordinance 2020-21-01 regarding the salaries pay of the Lafayette police officers. If I'm understanding this correctly, this ordinance would increase the pay of the Lafayette police officers, whether it's through their salary or longevity pay. I don't believe that this is the best use of city funds. Last year, LPD knelt in solidarity with protesters for the Black Lives Matter movement, however, has not made any measurable changes in alignment with the movement and with the community members who have continually expressed concern about LPD's hiring practices and aggressive use of force. In May 2020, an LPD officer used a canine against an unarmed citizen, Richard Bailey. Bailey had already been taken off his moped by 2 police officers prior to the canine attack. Bailey ended up in a coma for 6 days as the canine latched onto his neck. The same officer just 4 years prior similarly used a canine unit against an unarmed citizen, Frank Dowell. Both men were unarmed, Afro-American men. This officer, after the 2020 attack, was promoted. Later that year, a citizen discovered that LPD hired a police officer who had neo-Nazi ties. This officer had apparently already passed the screening by LPD. He was subsequently fired. However, this raises concerns about the LPD screening practices. Unlike the LPD, the West Lafayette Police Department has taken action in addressing issues of the excessive force. West Lafayette Police Department has committed to hiring a social worker to accompany officers, and they are reviewing their use of force policies. LPD officers already make over $50,000 annually as a starting salary, receive additional compensation as the move up through the ranks, and for being specialized in certain fields. This is well over the average annual salary for Hoosiers by approximately $20,000. Instead of rewarding LPD for their inaction on the above-mentioned issues, they need to be held accountable and should address issues with their hiring practices and their department's use of force policies. This money could be better spent by City Council to address issues experienced by Lafayette citizens such as homelessness, food insecurity, mental health issues, rent relief, and other issues which have been exacerbated by this COVID-19 epidemic. Thank you for your time. Katie Watson, 1217 Cassuth Street. And that's
all right, thank you for those comments. All right, it is now time for adjournment.
I move
Do
to
I
adjourn.
hear? Do I have a second? All right, we're ready for a roll call vote. Thank you. We're ready for a roll call vote then.
Heidi,
Aye.
Blinker,
Aye.
Nargi,
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Allersmeyer,
Aye.
County.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.